Hello, and welcome to another session of San Francisco by Night, Hunter the Vigil, entitled Power. The world of San Francisco 2077 is a very dark and strange place. Despite all the bright, vibrant neon lights, the signs, the punk rock, the futuristic technology, and the never ending expansion and going forward with mankind, there is a much darker side to San Francisco. Shadows loom amongst the neon signs. People disappear. Things happen. Despite all of its vibrant colors, it is still a very dark world. And there are those with massive amounts of power. To this day, very few of the people who walk amongst the streets know of the power that some people wield. It is a disturbing thought. Thank goodness that most people have things to preoccupy themselves nowadays. All the clubs and the drugs and the new toys, virtual reality, etc. Tisk, tisk, tisk. After all, what is but one conversation between two friends? Our story now pans us down to a room in a facility, a very well guarded facility, with a lot of money and effort put into it, where people are brought in and tested to their limits to be forged into something wonderful. A woman, very beautiful, very elegant, almost looking out of place in this facility of white and black hallways, in her bright red dress, is a striking and certainly out of place. She goes to a door, and the scene begins.
Marie will knock at the door. She's all about her manners and politeness.
Ah, yes, come in.
You are not going to open the door for me, old friend?
There is a slight pause, and you hear a little bit of scuffling, and he very quickly comes and opens the door. You see a very standard looking man, black hair, very nice brown business suit, looking down, and he says, "Ah, Marie, I didn't know it was you. My apologies."
No, none
He,
needed. I wanted to come and surprise you. It's been too long since our
well,
last visit.
this is indeed a surprise. He holds open the door a little further, and he kind of ushers in with his other hand to usher you in.
Thank you. And she will strut inside.
I have to admit, I didn't expect you. Would you like a drink? I've got some of my new things out.
Oh, please. Well, I would be rude to deny an old friend a drink.
Ah, yes, thank you. I've gotten this one up to at least 6 weeks before it goes bad.
Oh, I didn't take you for one to indulge in the luxurious vintages that can be found in the world. You
Indeed.
always tinkering with your data and your numbers.
Well, I try to find out a way to get a little profit on the side, and this was a unique thing for all of us.
Hmm. Yes, I suppose it would be.
Do try this vintage. I actually just got this one last week. It is of A class plus. I believe this one was yes, this is positive. I think that's how you like it, yes?
You may be a little out of date. My tastes have changed somewhat, but I will appreciate it, yes.
I do have some other selections if you wish to
No,
browse.
no, no, it's all right.
Of course. He pours her a glass of wine, and he pours himself a glass. And it is
She she'll raise it to her nose, and it's like
it
she's done this for
mhm.
so many times. She is kind of like a sommelier. Um, she swirls it around in the glass, and she closes her eyes, the eyelashes that she has perfectly um, applied mascara to via the most elite of cosmetic apparatuses that can be found in 2077. Um, and they flutter kind of like a butterfly's proboscis as she savors just the very scent of this wine. Do I detect? No, no, no. No, don't tell me. Oh, this comes from France.
He nods.
I smell
It was it,
florals.
it was a very healthy and young vintage.
Hmm. Well, we need to take care of our vineyards. The grapes from so many places are becoming. Well, they're not one. Well, they're not what? How do you say? They are not like what they used to be.
Indeed, there is a push away from the all natural and going more towards the synthetic. It's difficult to find the natural things nowadays.
Unfortunately. But, well, I've always liked the more natural things, the flowers and the animals, the non genetically engineered ones. No offense, dear.
Oh, indeed, none taken.
But this is good. This is more than
If
good.
she tastes it, it is in terms of quality for both substances, it is
Mhm.
about an A minus on rating of taste.
Not an S.
Yeah, not an S, but it's up there. He's
Mm.
still working. He kind of looks and he sees the reaction a little bit, and he's like, "I'm still working on getting that S rank up there, but it's difficult with the process. But that
No,
is
you.
one of the best ones I've been able to do so far."
No, 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 no. You do not need to explain. This is very good. This is very, very good. Thank
I
you.
am honored that you enjoy it.
So, what has been going on since we last
Well,
spoke?
we had the San Francisco has been at peace for quite some time, except we had a little bit of gang violence happen recently here in the years, and I've been dealing with some of that. Been having to
Hmm.
take care of it.
It is becoming more and more often to see gang violence and violence of any kind. Why cannot they be happy with virtual reality violence? They can practically feel the blood spray across their face in alternate reality simulation, but they are never satisfied, I
Indeed,
suppose.
it has helped. The world is at peace since the last war, and violence has gone down. However, it lurks within all of us, and that potential, for some, is more tantalizing than the peace.
Hmm. I suppose there will always be a few rotten apples.
Always. But I think I have some new employees that can easily take care of them.
Oh? Well, please, tell me what my money has bought me. I mean, us.
He smiles a bit and he says, very It has brought you many things. The first thing it has brought you is extremely good vintage, and he points at what you're drinking. And he says, it has also done a few new things. You know that me and my associates and colleagues are working towards perfection, as they call it. Yes?
Yes, yes, of
For
course.
us. I may have just taken another step up the ladder, unbeknownst to my colleagues. Thanks to you and thanks to this.
She will put the glass down and clasp her hands in her lap or in front of her. Because I don't think that they've actually sat down yet. I think they're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
standing and talking.
Yep.
So she's just got her hands in front of her clasped. She's got a ring on her ring finger, but it does not look to be a wedding ring.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's probably not even really there. It's probably some kind of hologram. But she seems to be intensely focused now. And when her attention is undivided and concentrated, it's like the universe falls away and there is only her.
He stands there and kind of nods, and he pulls up a chair in front of her. And
She will.
if she allows him to, he'll put one hand on hers and then go back and sit in the chair straight up.
Mhm.
And he focuses all of his attention on her. And he raises an eyebrow, but then he quirks a little bit of his smile, and he just kind of seems to take the facade that he's got of a very serious businessman, and it flows away, and he lets her presence wash over him. And then he smiles at her and sits cross legged, puts his hands on his knee, and gives her all of his attention.
So, tell me a little bit more about this recent step towards perfection. I believe you know that I wish to see the world be reforged in perfection. This is of great interest to me. So please, friend, tell me everything.
I will. The first step we did was is those of us who are walking along the path, but not yet us. Those who work for us, our employees, our colleagues, our close colleagues, but not yet at our status, have become stronger. They have become more efficient. I have found a way to eliminate the weakness of cybernetics and technology from us. No longer is it a restriction. Now it is a boon. I have also found a way to make the process quick and easy. I have found a way to take our product, and he points on over to the wine, even greater in potency. It can now last 6 weeks out of the storage. Even exposed to raw air, I can make it last 6 weeks.
S- That that is more than a month.
Indeed, and the longer it stays, the less potent it is, but I've done it. It at least lasts that long.
That is extraordinary. Please continue.
He pauses for a moment.
She seems to be quiet. taken back by this information. She never thought that she would be able to hear what it is that she is hearing.
He pauses for a moment and he seems to look deeply into her eyes. And they have a long moment of pause. Out of character, I must go let my dog out really quick. I'll be
All
right
right.
back. They just kind of stare at each other for the moment. He kind of slowly shakes his head. Says, "Sorry, I lost myself in your eyes. My apologies."
That is something that happens quite often.
There is one other thing that I have accomplished with this. And he looks a little bit pained, like he doesn't want to say it.
What what is it? What is wrong?
He if she lets him, he'll take her hands in his. Just as like a
They're
kind of a condolencing clasp.
yeah, they're warm and vibrant, and it's like kind of like that glow while the sun is setting over a beach.
One could say she's blushing. He says, and he once again, even when he's got her permission, he kind of has trouble getting it out, and he says, "I may have found the one who has done you wrong."
What? In that moment, all the warmth, not in her body, but in her voice, all that friendliness, all that kindness, the politeness, the manners, it may as well have been sucked out into the infinite expanse of space because she is now beyond cold, beyond hollow. Who?
I have a first name, not a last.
Well,
First name. His first name that he is known by is Damien. And it disgusts me to say that he was once considered a colleague of ours in the place that we run. My colleagues threw him out and he was going to be executed, but plan did not go forward. We could not find him for years. But then I found a new facility that had not been touched back during the previous war in South Africa. It is here in San Francisco, buried underneath. We only just now discovered it. It was a facility that was not told about to me and my other colleagues. We didn't even know it existed. I told them not to experiment with the lust. I told them it was stupid.
your
I did.
emotions are clouding you, old friend.
I told them it was foolish to do that. I should have seen that they would go behind my back and the others and do something like that. That is where he was hiding for all these years.
Is he still there?
Perhaps. I am investigating into it now. I do not wish to scare or drive it off. This might be the only opportunity we have.
We are very patient, my family and I. I can wait. Oh, yes, I can wait. There is no need to rush. This can take years if it needs to. There is no need to worry about scaring the little mouse. They will have no idea of the cats that come creeping ever closer, or the snakes, or the spiders, or the demons.
The moment she says that, a couple of the lights flicker. Sorry, that was a spike. It tends to happen occasionally. Ever since the strange disappearances started in the mountains.
So I have heard. In fact, I must confess, old friend, that there was perhaps one additional reason for me to visit you.
Which was?
Well, it was about the cabin in the woods.
Yes, that. That is. That is an interesting little case I've discovered.
I have a friend. As you know, I have many friends from
Smiles.
different places, different origins. This friend that I have, well, let's just say that I have a special interest in them. Not as much of an interest that I share with you, but an interest nonetheless. And it would be very beneficial if we figure out what exactly is going on in this location.
I have already taken liberty, and I'm probably going to send some of our new associates with their new strength and training to investigate.
Tell me of these agents.
They are quite powerful. They are well trained in many different things. We have
Such
a
as?
balance of many things. Well, if I want to be blunt, there are some who are strong, some who are durable, some who are trained in machines, weaponry, some are ex military,
Hmm.
some who are very good at sociology and psychology. We have
hmm.
all bases covered.
Can they be trusted to not step out of line?
Indeed, they can, for they do not, for they have been shown the truth they need to see, and in that they will not step out of line. If they do, then you know what happens.
Of course, this is good, but I must admit that in my experience, sending agents of their origins, they tend to be quite fragile and uh,
He chuckles and he seems to kind of go into just a little bit of a laughing spree, not like a full on laugh, but just a very low chuckle. And he says, I thought so too, but being the man I am, I found a way to rectify that fragility.
Oh, good, because I
I have
do.
made I have given our associates, and he leans closer into her until his face is almost like right to her. I have given them the ability to be strong like us. Their fragility is almost non existent now. One of our associates ran into an unfortunate other associate of ours, one who had lost his way, one who had gone into a frenzy, and the police could not do anything. So I sent a few of our associates, and one of them had his head smashed straight through a solid marble wall. Not even a scratch.
Hmm.
They took on, although a young employee, he was still fierce, and they dispatched him without even breaking a sweat. It was impressive.
Impressive, yes, but also concerning. For if they do not follow procedure, let us say, you have given them the capacity to resist certain influences
Ah,
more than the other agents at
but
our
that
disposal.
is. He chuckles again. Ah, but you see, once again, I took that into account. They are weaker to the contracts of our companies. They are weaker to the signatures they write. And they are weaker. And he just points on over to the glass. They cannot resist as well as normal employees.
But as we have found out, some colleagues of yours, and by extension mine, they, well, they have done things you do not like. They have done things that you told them not to do. So that
Yes,
puts them at risk of being used by those we do not want them to be used by.
yes, that is still a risk, and that is why I am doing everything I can to take care of that now. And most of those associates have been eliminated by their own hand, as it were. For
That's not
their little
possible.
projects blew up in their face.
Mm. Must your office be so close to transportation?
Oh, it is. Oh, as you hear another kind of flying car goes by. It is premium real estate, as they called it, but I doubt it. Nonetheless, it is. What is the old phrase? What is the best way to truly hide from someone? Hidden around the corner, or out in the open where no one looks?
I suppose. Well, you know me, I like things to be pretty.
Mm-hmm. I did enjoy that new area that you're purchasing out there by the heights. It's quite beautiful.
Of course.
Did you really need that large of a fence around it though?
Among other things, I have something special planned. But don't you worry, it's a surprise.
I do love surprises.
And we all know how legendary my surprises are.
Yes, very much so. He kind of looks a little pained for a moment. He says, "I am sorry our conversation took a turn for the more depressing. Is there anything I can do for you right now?"
There may be. She brings her hands up to either side of his face, and she looks deep into his eyes. Her own eyes, a deep, deep azure blue. like an icy cavern or a glistening fairy pond, or somewhere in the now dated Mediterranean when the waters were still somewhat blue, before the dyes and the chemicals and all of the things came and made it a little bit less genuine. And she just sits there for a moment, staring into his eyes while her hands, delicate and warm, are on either side of his face, before she whispers, "Let me in. You know that I have been gifted with talents of this era. Let me into your mind, like how the technologists go into computers. I have done my own research. I can go into your mind. My family specializes in it.
There
I
may
want.
be some there may be some things you do not like to see.
I have seen many things that I did not wish to see. But that does not mean that I am not meant to see them.
He
It might be beneficial.
as he comes around, he moves his head and he puts his mouth right to her ear. And he says, "Then before we start, I would like to say one thing. You could burn me, destroy me, torture me, eradicate every part of my being. And as long as it was you, I would not care. This will be a bit embarrassing for me." But he brings his head around and then looks directly into her eyes. And he says, "But I will open the door."
Oh, sweet friend, thank you. And she traces a black acrylic nail or whatever substance they use nowadays down the side of his face. It doesn't seem like the energy in the room is sexually charged or even romantic. There may be some splashes of that in there, maybe some passion, but it's a little alien. There's something different. There's something underneath it all. Um, but she looks into his eyes before closing her own, and she will project into him
All
to
right.
delve through his memories, to
He gives
see.
absolutely no resistance.
hmm She first wants to know if he is hiding anything from her, even if it is to just protect her own feelings.
Yeah, he has actually a picture of the guy who wronged her, and he was going to show it to her, but when he told her his name and she went all cold, he kind of backed off a little bit and didn't show it to her. He, like I said, he doesn't actually know where the guy is. Like he
hmm
knows that he might be down in the facility, like he's guessing, but he found out who it was, like what vampire it was,
hmm
and it like he's been trying very hard to get more information, but all he's got is that first name and the fact that he used to be a colleague, and he's
hmm
trying desperately to get that information for her, but he's very, very disappointed in himself for doing it. And that's
hmm
part of the reason why he hasn't shared some things, is because he doesn't have anything concrete.
hmm
Um, and he didn't want to hurt her feelings by saying, like, "Hey, we know who he was, but we can't do anything about it." He doesn't like
Right.
that. And the only other thing that he would kind of be hiding or trying to be hiding is his feelings for her. Not the obvious ones on the surface, but the deeper ones. Um,
hmm
9 out of 10 of them are very, very genuine One of them is unsure, and the only reason why it's unsure is because, as with a desire for another human, you don't know what they feel,
Mhm.
and that's where the uncertainty comes from.
Mm.
Um, and that would be the only other thing that he really tries to hide, but he doesn't resist like so hard so that it's not, impossible to break. It's just a little bit of like a pull where
Mm.
like you go to the door and then someone puts their hand on yours and it's like, don't open that, but then you go and open it anyway. So
Right, okay.
and it's
Um
and he the let's see, the other things you learn all the information about the experiments and everything. You also see a very painful memory that he's never
mm,
told anyone, that he's never told anyone. And
right.
you knew that he was once a doctor, but then he shows you that event that changed him. And that was such a pivotal moment for him that it changed not only his character, but everything that he stood for in one moment. And even though he took vengeance and got satisfaction, it never left him. And it has been with him for a very long time. And that is part of the reason that he's hid some stuff from people for so long.
Mm,
That she sees very plainly because that's a very strong memory that is almost enveloping most of the others.
right, it's almost always present, okay.
Yep.
I guess she kind of, snakes through, um, to see if she can feel any hard spots, kinda like, are there any vaults? Are there any discrepancies? Are there any scar tissue in terms of memory where
Yes,
someone might have, like, altered it?
there is a little bit of scar tissue. It was actually right after he took his vengeance on the man who
Hmm,
wronged him. There seems to be almost like a little scalpel incision where there should be something, but it's just not there. There's a blank period of time. One moment he's here, next moment he's here, but something doesn't match up in the middle.
hmm,
And it was right after he went through that great trauma. So it's a little bit hard to pick up on, but you do see it.
okay. Um, I suppose the last thing that she will do on her way out of the mind, um, this particular advantage that is on the sheet,
Mm-hmm.
um, permits me to spend a resource point to inflict a condition on them, such
Yes.
as guilty, inspired, shaken, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would like is to, even if it's only temporarily, like a scene or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
is instead of that all encompassing memory of the trauma and the vengeance and all of that stuff, she would like to kind of just swirl around his feelings for her. This kind of like, oh, I like her, but I don't know if I should kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just going to guide that to the front of his mind, so that he gets, what is it called? Swooning.
Swoon condition. Yes, he will.
Yes.
Yep, he will take that tilt.
I do believe that this is something that they don't quite understand what I'm doing in there. Um,
Right.
what I've seen, what I haven't seen, or if I have done anything.
No, he
Um,
he actually has no idea what you've looked at in
yeah,
this
yeah.
particular trick. Yeah.
Just to um, make that clear. And yes, so on her way out, she kind of drags that to the, not even drag, she escorts it um, to the front of his mind, and then leaves so that she's back in her own state of being. And she opens her own eyes and leans in and places a soft lipstick kiss on his forehead before relinquishing her um, grip, I guess, on his face. And she will lean back.
Did you find what you were looking for?
I did.
He kind of looks looks down and scratches his head a little bit. And he says, I hope you didn't see anything offensive.
No, no, you keep everything quite tidy up there.
Thank you.
Hmm.
It's been a bit of a difficult past 50 years here.
You look good for your age.
Indeed. It was, I guess in all the unluckiness of it, there was a bit of lucky that I got my unique position in this company at the age that I did. It
I
helps me
suppose.
stay vigorous.
Yes, I suppose so. Listen, friend, I do apologize for my sternness, my coldness before it. You do know that my father, he meant and continues to mean so very much to me. He was the man that he was my only light in this world since I was a little girl. So when you came to me with that information, yes, I became cold. And I do not like showing that to people. But I feel comfortable around you enough to show you that side of me. So please, next time, if you have a photograph, if you have evidence or information that is even just rumor, let me know.
He slowly and somewhat hesitantly reaches into his pocket and he pulls out the little PDA, and the PDA will show you the photo and the kind of hearsay information he had.
Thank you. That is what I was going to find in there. And she kind of playfully boops him on the forehead.
Indeed. I figured as much.
Can't hide much from these eyes.
No, I cannot.
But then again, why would you ever want to?
Indeed. Sometimes I forget myself.
I'll be sure to
Nonetheless,
remind you from time to time.
he winks at her and he says, in all honesty, this new assignment that I have for our two groups of associates, I think they will be okay. I don't know what they will run into in these situations, but that is life. You don't know what's coming. You have to
I
be
do.
prepared for everything, though.
I. I do not. I somewhat visited the cabin in the woods, if that is what we are talking about.
Yes. What was up there?
I didn't go in proper. I did not conduct a in-depth investigation. So I cannot tell you with any certainty, but when I was there, no, it was nothing.
He looks out the window towards the direction of the mountains, and he gets this very concerned look on his face. Have you ever had one of those moments where you feel like something is there and your curiosity is driving you towards it, but for some reason you just don't want to take that step?
Like you're a little girl, or in your case, little boy, and you heard a noise downstairs and you want to know what it is, but you can't quite seem to go down the stairs.
I want to tell you a story, Marie, that I've never told anyone else.
And here I was
When I,
thinking that you had nothing else to hide from me.
you may have missed it. It would have been off to the side, something small. But now that we've talked about this, it seems to be coming back. Did you see the memory of the woods, the forest I used to go out when I was a child? Truly a child.
She doesn't say anything, but she just smiles.
I went out into the woods one day. I was playing. The other children at school called me a coward, called me damning names, said I would be forever conditioned to burn in what they call hell. I laughed at them, and I told them that I would prove that I was not afraid. There was a legend at the time that something lurked in the woods near our city, and that there was a burial site. Many bones, trinkets, dream catchers, you name it. You know the works. So I was to go out and take something from that site and show them that I was not afraid, and then, of course, return it back, because disrupting a gravesite is a true offense to some cultures. I went out into the woods. It was dark. I was foolish and young, but I had a weapon, and I was not afraid. I soon became afraid. I started to hear sounds, and I knew the animals in the woods. I had lived out there for many years with my family. The wilderness was not something to be afraid of. That was before I knew what fear was. I heard a crashing come through the brush, and I stared out with my weapon aimed forward. I do not know to this day whether it was just my eyes, or perhaps that I was so small, but I have seen many large bears. But this one would put them to shame. I swear its paws alone were the length of my whole body. But the thing I remember the most, besides its size, were those eyes. The eyes that seemed to gleam in the darkness. And it walked. I could feel the weight shaking the earth. And it just stared at me, my weapon pathetic to something so large. It looked down at me. And I have never seen an animal smile. I have never seen a predator smile at its prey. But here it was, looking down at me and smiling. It didn't hurt me, at least I don't think it did. All I remember then is being left there on the cold, hard earth, shaking. I was found a day later. My father flogged me for it afterwards, and I never went back out there, and I never got to prove that I wasn't afraid. But maybe I was. And now that I look out into that vast wilderness out there, why am I getting this feeling? Shakes his head. It's nothing. Couldn't be. Sorry. I got
No,
lost in thought there.
no, it is fine. When I scouted personally, in a manner of speaking, up at that place, it was so quiet. No, no, not even quiet. It was silent. The trees did not sing. The soil did not hum. The twigs did not break. The bats did not screech. And I looked upon the trail, and there were no footprints, not even mine. I looked past the trees, and I thought I saw him.
His eyes go very wide.
I thought I saw him. But different. It was like he was so large, stretched like alloy or rubber, twisted and wrong. I've seen a lot in my line of work. We both do. And I thought that I had left fear behind me quite a while ago. But this was something I had never seen. A very rare thing to experience. But just like your story about the bear, he smiled wider than a face should. His eyes were larger. I blinked. There was nothing. Just a gnarled tree, a dead tree, no leaves, just twisted and awkward. I thought that I was imagining things. And perhaps I am, or I was. I hadn't had dinner that night. But I knew that I did not want to investigate further, personally. I am too important. You are too important. Send in those who are not important. So that if they do come back, they will become important.
This will be their biggest test. Very well. We shall see what our two groups of associates can do. If they both come back from their tasks, then we can go to the next phase, which is what I wanted to ask you about. Our leader, She is straightforward, but our leader has been proven to make progress for us recently in the years of these companies. The Prince has given me permission to promote some of these associates to certain standings. And he kind of gives you the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Um,
She does
and
not
I
appear
want,
very amused.
if they truly prove to be worthy of the promotion, would you give one the promotion in your standing?
I would need to know them, to speak with them.
You are welcome to talk with any of the associates at any time they are here.
I will. Alone. Surprise to you, perhaps, but I can go unnoticed if I want. I do not need to look like a shimmering jewel all the time.
He nods. You are always welcome to this facility and everything in it. And you are welcome to talk with any of the employees.
But to answer your question, if I would give a promotion to my establishment, it is something that I would need to think about very carefully. I have not ever accepted another. I have never given a promotion. And it has turned out quite well that way. I find that when you take on too many people, especially the inexperienced, they fail. And you have to clean up the mess, or you are collateral damage.
Indeed.
And that is not something I like. So,
He nods.
if I was to give one of them a promotion, they would need to show immense promise. And only then would I even think about giving them the trials.
He nods. Seems to kind of go into a more understanding as a few moments pass. Says, yes.
However, I will admit that if they wanted an internship, let's say, a a boost,
Mm-hmm.
then perhaps I would be more willing to do that. It would still be very well thought out, and I would need to speak with them. But I would be more open to an internship rather than a promotion.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a few candidates you may wish to speak with first. He is a very good candidate for promotion or internship, as is the other. And I think some of these associates you will like. Some of them can be very headstrong and foolish and will possibly delve down into a lot of hardships before they get their promotion from whoever. But
If they ever.
if they ever. But some, I think, will rise to the occasion. Others will have to go through much hardships if they ever even get it. Did you see that just last week, the very first wolf sighting in almost 100 years was spotted out by Yellowstone?
I did hear, yes.
There aren't many of them in North America now, and yet they're being seen a lot more often. Perhaps it's because when the cities expanded, they left a lot of the inland alone, and now the forests have regrown. There's a lot of wolf sightings. Actually, the first in San Francisco outskirts was recorded 2 weeks ago.
Hmm. They didn't learn their lesson, did they?
Apparently not.
I thought.
But there's a lot of us who think that it is the wolves that are taking these people in the mountains.
No, they are not
You do not
smart enough for that.
don't think it's them?
No. Perhaps it's one of their imaginary friends that has gone a little rogue, but it would not be the wolves. They lack any capacity to
he
be
uh
anything close to that.
he takes um a little piece of ice and he puts it in between his hands. And he starts to kind of move and mold his hands in a certain direction. And he holds it up, and it's almost a perfect ice replica origami kind of thing of a wolf. And he sets it down on the table next to you, and he seems to kind of wince in pain right after he does that, but
Mm.
it's not too noticeable.
Oh, it is to her.
And he's like, because one point of paradox ain't that bad. But
No, not at all.
he kind of twitches a bit, and he says, "Sooner or later, since it is easier for us to be here in our company due to the technology the world now possesses." He holds up the little thing of the wolf. There are other companies that wish to downplay us. However, some can be worked with, some cannot. We must learn which ones those are if we wish to have an easy future coming for us.
Friend, remember when I said that there was a friend that I wanted to uh, become close with?
I
That I was
did, yes.
interested in them, and that is why I wanted to investigate?
Mm-hmm.
We are on the same page.
Ah, he nods. Very well then. Then I
These things
think,
take time,
yes, they do. They take a lot of time. A lot of time and a lot of effort, but they're worth
and a
it if they can be
lot of
done.
stupid people.
A lot of stupid people. Believe me, I know.
You'd think you'd be able to breed them out by now, but with all of the genetic experiments that has been going on over the years, it seems that there is no cure for stupidity.
Indeed. And he looks at some papers on his desk, and you can see that they are schematics of a bunker. You assume this is the military bunker he was talking about. And
Hmm.
he just looks really like something's off. Like he's looking at it like almost like he was looking out at the mountains. Like there's something eating at him.
What is it?
I The reports say that the facility was cleared out. I have a strange feeling there were some rooms missed, and I don't know what's down there. But as you said, if they come back, they are valuable.
Very. If they come back, let me know. I have plans for them.
Agreed. Shall we spend the rest of the night doing. Shall I. Shall we just. It looks like he's slipping on the word to say he's not trying. He's not trying to lead it into a sexual thing. He's trying to
No,
just say like he's trying to just say like you just want to hang out, but he like can't quite
right.
put it together. He's like,
She smiles and she comes over and she places her hand on his knee, um, and looks at him in the eyes again, which is a great deal of trust between these people,
"Mhm."
and says, "Oh, you are perhaps the sweetest man that I know that is still around in my life. But I am a very busy woman, and this situation with the wolf and the woods and the man you brought to my attention, much needs to be done,
Yes,
but I will be sure to surprise you with another visit soon.
he nods. Then
Don't forget about me too quickly."
he nods and he says, he leans forward and kisses her on the forehead. And he says, walk safely and happy hunting.
Hmm. She does not reply. She just gets up and seemingly flows toward the door, and again waits for him to open it.
He does.
Then she flows out, her own crimson hair looking like a ribbon caught in the breeze, and then she's gone.
He closes the door behind her and sits in the very now dark office. And he looks on over at the wolf. And as the camera slowly fades into the wolf, you can see a tiny, tiny light flickering in the wolf's eye sockets. And the camera fades. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been San Francisco by Night, Hunter the Vigil. I hope to see you all next time.